What are we whispering about?
I spent years taking photos of my dogs in the garden and I never saw any rainbows or strange things. But now I've got thousands and thousands of photos, so I'm not joking, of the most amazing things that I would never have dreamed I could see. And when I show people, even some skeptical people, they say, actually, I have no logical explanation for the huge number of this phenomena and, why it's appearing. And some of it just defies rational explanation. But for me, I don't really mind about the rational explanation. For me, it's about the heart. I used to be a lot about intellect in the head, and I loved the intersection of science and spirituality. But now for me, it's connection with the heart is where it leads me into peace and into joy. And it's led me into deeper connection with the beautiful light beings in my garden.
In the air, by the sea, from the land, and within you and me. Fairies are whispering. This is Claire Casely, and I am a fairy whisperer. To catch a whisper, you have to listen closely. Listen with me. Hello and welcome everyone to Fairy Whispering. I'm your host, Claire Casely. For this episode, I continue my conversation with Lorraine Wilson about her connection with fairies through the remarkable light shows in her garden, which Lorraine has captured in photographs, on video, and which her dogs also respond to. I recommend going back to listen to part 1 if you missed it, to catch up on our conversation before listening to this episode. In part 2 of our conversation, Lorraine shares more about her relationship with the fairies in her garden and her dog's interactions with the lights. She has also had light symbols appear on her body, which friends have witnessed and have no explanation for. Lorraine also talks about her connection with Solaris, our sun, a lioness guide called Sha Sha, and the rainbow weavers, supernatural entities that Lorraine says communicate with her through the light spectrum. Enjoy this episode and check out the podcast blog, thefairywhispering.com, for more information about Lorraine and some cute photos of her dogs watching light shows in her garden. I've also included some of Lorraine's light language videos in which the light appears to be reacting to her voice. Also in the description you'll find links to the video versions of both of the episodes. If you've had a supernatural experience which you feel is fairy related, contact the show, clairefairywhisperer@gmail.com, and follow the podcast on social media at Fairy Whispering Podcast. Now on with the episode. We began our conversation by speaking about some of the ways in which her dogs connect with the lights in Lorraine's garden and when they're out for walks in nature with Lorraine.
I've got all 8 of my rescue dogs are in the room, so they will
Oh,
no doubt make an appearance at some point. They've been a part of my story all the way from the beginning because they've been playing with the fairies. They show me where to look for light beings. Often in photos, like Treacle, once I saw him looking at a blank space that looked to me, so I went back through and looked frame by frame and saw there was a golden light being that appeared in one frame, only one frame as a
yes.
light photo. So and they love rainbow bathing. They're always sitting out in the rainbow light, and they're part of this journey with me. So it seems right there with
Mm.
me.
What's your dog's name that's blind?
It's Pickwick. Yeah, I got a mixture of dogs. Quite a few of them are elderly.
Yeah, the photos you were talking about of your dogs looking at the light and they seem to be reacting to what you're photographing, which is really fascinating, isn't it? There's a photo that you shared with me where one of your dogs is trying to dig up the end of this rainbow light
Yeah,
that's
they
in your
got the end of the
garden.
rainbow, and the end
Yeah.
of the rainbow kept moving. It was like it was playing with it. And
Mm.
there were lots of examples like that of
Mm.
the light playing with them. Or if I'm out on walks, I'll notice that one of my dog's Flum seems to be particularly sensitive, that he looked down into the lake, and then I saw that Maeve and Finn, my fairy guides from my garden, had come out on the walk with me. So yeah, it is interesting. The animal, they definitely see everything, take it all in their stride, and they've been a great part in helping me develop because I spent years taking photos of my dogs in the garden and I never saw any rainbows or strange things. But now I've got thousands and thousands of photos, so I'm not joking, of the most amazing things that I would never have dreamed I could see. And when I show people, even some skeptical people, they say, actually, I have no logical explanation for the huge a number of this phenomena and why it's appearing, and some of it just defies rational explanation. But for me, um, I don't really mind about the rational explanation. For me, it's about the heart. I
Mm.
used to be a lot about intellect in the head, and I loved the intersection of science and spirituality. But now, for me, it's connection with the heart is where it leads me into peace and into joy. And it's led me into deep connection with the beautiful light beings in my garden who have just been, well, I've tried to make it a sanctuary. I'm a magical awakening practitioner, so I work with the elements a lot. I always put spiritual blessings and guards on my house. I invite beings of light and love to come and live in my home and my garden as a sanctuary where they're welcome. I send them love. I speak and sing light language to them. And gradually it's taken like a time of trust. And I think the last time I spoke to you, I was getting some pretty amazing photographs, but nothing like I've seen since. It's been absolutely astounding. I mean, you look at the colours and you think, oh, she must have photoshopped that. I really haven't. The violet light really is that amazing. And sometimes my entire garden is just a different colour. It's
Wow.
just takes my breath away. There are times and I think I can't possibly see anything more spectacular, and then it just takes my breath away. And
Yeah.
one of the really special things is is when I see the other beings and when I see recognizable faces. And sometimes I have to ask to see them. I'll see the photo and I'll say, can you show me where you are? And I'll look and I'll find, and then it's really obvious, but sometimes I have to ask to be able to see it.
Mm.
But I do get a lot of these, I call them rainbow light curtains because I've never seen them anywhere else. As in, they're not shaped rainbows, they're rectangular curtains of light with some rainbow light mixed in. And it's those photos where I get the most beings, be they
Mm.
fairies, light beings, galactic beings, whatever they are, that's where I see most of them. And I've learned how to zoom in on patches. Generally, if I see a bubble that's got like a blue bubble or a bubble of different color, I know to zoom in on it, and I know that's where I'm going to find I find the being looking out at me.
Mm.
And just the most amazing symbols, incredible symbols and animals. I've seen so many dog faces in these. It's amazing. It's like I've got all these rescue dogs in my house, but I seem to have plenty more in the garden of light beings. I don't think they're necessarily ghosts. They could be guardian animals. They could be, in a way, it doesn't really matter. They're here because they want to be with me and because I love dogs and it's a good place to be. And
Yeah.
I mean, some photos I found as many as 7 dogs in, so it's
Wow.
amazing.
Looking at some of your photos, there are some really clear faces, like you say, of people or beings, sort of humanoid
Yeah.
faces. And one of the most incredible ones that I saw was from last time when you were speaking to me of the cat's face,
Oh yes, the lioness. Yes, she's
lioness's
my
face.
lioness guide. Yes, I've had her as well since. I think it's in one of the photos I sent you recently. I'll have to highlight it for you. But
Yeah.
yeah, she often appears for me. Yeah.
Do you know who she is? Has she communicated a name to you?
She's told me that her name is Sha Sha and that she's appeared to help me find my courage. So
Oh,
she isn't
right.
my courage, but she walks beside me to remind me of the courage inside me and to give me strength. So that's quite beautiful.
Yeah, it interests me because I've had connections with lion type beings and I've drawn fairies with lion-like faces. And then there's some people that have come up with this kind of concept of fairy type beings that are called the Lyrans that come from the Lyran constellation. All I know is that like you, I'm seeing these faces in nature, I'm drawing
Yeah,
them intuitively. For me, it's bringing through these lion like courage and feminine qualities of these lioness,
yeah,
about feminine
absolutely.
courage and protection and truth.
Yeah, divine feminine power rising, absolutely.
Yes, yeah,
Such a strong theme of the last year or so.
definitely this
Yeah,
rising divine feminine energy that's
yeah,
coming up and showing itself to us. Yeah, last time we spoke, you shared about your guides that you just mentioned, Finn
yeah.
and
And Maeve, yeah.
Maeve.
I have a lot of guides that I work with regularly. Finn and Maeve are they feel more like friends and they will turn up for me any day. Whenever I ask for, whenever I ask them to turn up, they turn up and they come with me wherever I go, whether it's a town or the countryside. They'll be there if I ask them to. And they've got, Finn in particular, got such a sense of humor. They'll pose in funny photos. Like, and there's one thing where there's a special tree in the middle of my nearest town that I always called the witch tree because it feels got such a strong personality. And they've posed themselves as being the eyes on the face.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah,
Cool.
and they often do all these amazing things. And the funny thing is I'm surrounded by all these people. My dogs can see all the lights. I can see the lights. My camera can see the lights, but other people are just oblivious. So
Mm.
maybe it just depends on what you're looking for, what you're ready to see, what you're open to.
Yes, yeah, I think it's difficult with the invisible world, isn't it? It's such a personal experience, and we can only share. I mean, we just share what we see and what we're
Yeah.
experiencing, and I think it's just up to other people how they accept, how they receive that.
Yes.
I mean, certainly with my beliefs in fairies, I just share it and then it's up to how other people receive that. And I'm not here to convince anyone.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
I know that I'm, like so I know that I'm speaking from my heart. This is something that I very is very dear to me, but that I believe in. I'm sensitive to these other realms,
Yeah.
but not everybody is, and that's fair enough.
Yeah. And some people are, and I've had some
Yeah.
people that I've shown, and I do think there is something special about the area that I'm in. There's something about the quality of the light, the spiritual nature of the landscape. It's very much there are very much connections to what they call the old religion here, which is the religion of the
Yes.
mountains, the rivers, the forests. It's very much imbued with that energy. It's quite a wild part of rural France. It's very special. Lots of people feel spiritually called to this area, artists, writers. people of all kinds of spiritual callings. Um, but I find I had one friend who I showed the photos, and she was quite sensitive. I knew she was, even though I don't think she realized how she was. And then all of a sudden, she started being able to take some of the photos in her garden.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's now getting the same photos that I started off getting in her
Mm.
garden. Um, so, but I've shown photos to people who say, "Oh yes, I'm a skeptic," and you kind of watch their jaw drop, and at the end it's like, and you can see that something's gone in, and you think, well, you're part in your journey, and I've done my bit. It's up to you what you do with what goes
Yes.
through. And I know
Yeah.
that my photographs, there's so much energy in them. I know a lot of people just flick through Facebook, but if you
Mm.
do take time to focus on the photographs, there are light codes in there. There
Mm.
is energy you can connect to. And I find it amazing how much the spiritual world is using technology. Because for me, it's often been thought that, well, magic and technology, that it's one or the other. And yet I feel I get called to go outside and take photographs. I mean, there have been days when I haven't been feeling very well and I've been feeling this strong call, come out, come out, come out. We want you to take photographs. And it's like, I don't feel like it. Okay, I will. And I always feel better for doing it. Of course I do. But I feel like I'm the photographer. I'm just the conduit. For me, my photographs and videos are another form of light language. Like some people have drawing. Um, for me, it's photography as well as the speaking and the singing and hand gestures or whatever. But
Mm.
I'm very much told that these photographs are a form of channeling light and channeling light codes.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's been a beautiful experience being able to share that and to know that the ripple effects that go out, you never quite know where they're going to go, but you know that if you're sending light out into the world, that it will keep on rippling. And I'm glad to be a part of that. But it does
Mm.
feel very strange to be called out to take photographs. And I mean, I remember once before we did our first podcast, I went into the garden. I said, "Okay, I'm going to take some photos. Do you want to be on YouTube?" I literally said that, and that's when I got some of those amazing photos of the roses and my olive tree and the rainbows and the double
Yes.
rainbows.
So
And they literally
fascinating.
came because I said, "Do you want to go and be on
Mm.
YouTube?" And to me, that's amazing
Mm.
that
It,
they want to
yeah.
communicate with us. They're coming through for us. They're using whatever we use, whatever that I mean, we spend so much of our life focusing on electronic devices. If that's what we focus on, that's how they'll come through to us, I think.
I have that same feeling because, as you know, I take photos. I'll see faces in nature, and and it's usually just half a face, or sometimes I can see a pattern,
Yes.
and I'm not sure what's going to be.
Yeah.
And I just feel I need to photograph that. And lo and behold, if I then what I do is I mirror my photos,
Yes.
which is something
Yes,
lots
I've
of
seen that. It's
people,
brilliant.
yeah, and then inevitably something will emerge like another being, like a face,
Yeah.
symbols, this incredible detail.
Yeah.
Um, and like you say, I felt intuitively that I should go on that walk, take that photo,
Yeah.
that image on that tree that I've seen or in the
Yeah.
rocks or wherever, and
Yeah.
then creates these amazing images. So
Yeah.
that's what fascinates me is the connection that you're experiencing and that I've experienced in other people with this greater consciousness, that
Yes.
that these other beings, these other dimensions,
Yes.
nature are all
Yeah.
part of.
Yeah, I definitely see the light curtains in my garden as being like a blurring between different dimensions. Um, sorry, one of my dogs might be about to bark. Never mind. Um, uh, yeah, I see it's like a blurring between different dimensions because sometimes I see
Mm.
faces overlapping other faces, like layers and layers of faces.
Yeah.
And um, sometimes I find it amazing, like in one light curtain, just how many different faces there can be. And some of them I say a human or humanoid. Some are part animal, part human. There are some that are very definitely otherworldly that I've never seen before, but I know they're beings of light and love. And there's some particular little long neck creatures that only ever turn up in rainbows, like in the middle of the sky or in the garden.
Oh, wow.
And I've actually went back to some of my old photos and found there are loads of those ones too. So that was quite interesting. And then sometimes I get lots of eyes as well, really clear eyes looking back at me. And sometimes there's one where it's almost like a being has got a telescope and is looking back at me. So it's
Oh,
like it's a two-way mirror. It's a really funny thing.
amazing.
So it's like
Yeah.
so many beings peering through.
Yeah.
And I think it's to do with this growing unity consciousness about
Mm.
the blurring of the lines, the acceptance, and they want to work with us. I mean, I know that the fairies, the
Yeah.
light beings, they want to co-create with us. And
Mm.
this is just the start of it. Um, and one thing I did want to mention is that very recently, so I talked to you about it at the weekend. Um, as you know, there's been lots of solar flares and solar storms lately.
Hmm.
And as a result, there've been really intense northern lights, but also I think it's coincided with a lot of the violet light and incredible light shows I've been getting in the garden. But at the weekend, which at the time is when I found out we actually had a type X solar flare, which is one of the most powerful. I
Yeah. Oh,
actually
gosh.
connected
Yeah.
connected with the sun as a being. If you look on my page, I've put the NASA link, so
Mm-hmm.
you can check the scientific details if you're that way inclined. But I felt the urge to connect to the sun as a being, because I'm always connecting to Gaia, I'm always connecting to the moon. I believe that everything has consciousness. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, while I'm always grateful for the sun and I feel healing from the sun, healing from wounds and pain and like injuries that I sustained in a brain and spinal injuries a while ago, the sun here has been a huge healing help. I've never really talked to the sun. And I just felt the urge to connect, and I didn't know what to call him, so I but Solaris felt right.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just said, I'm really grateful for the warmth and everything you provide us, and I'm so grateful for all the healing that you've given me. And I just said, I'm open to receive whatever you've got to give me. And these amazing light codes came through. I had my eyes
Wow.
shut, and it was like one of my garden light shows, but on steroids. It was just incredible. There were flashes of
Amazing.
faces, the most amazing colors, and
Wow.
such intensity. And these codes are so intense that you can only connect for a couple of minutes at a time, I found. And I did do an experiment because I know not everyone else is in the south of France. I did an experiment last night in bed, and you can do it inside in the dark. You can still connect with the sun. All you've got to say is, well, I would offer gratitude and I would say I'm open to receive whatever light code you have for me, and just be open to see what comes, because there are new light codes streaming in. And I believe the solar flares that we're getting are a response to the rise in consciousness that we're experiencing on Earth. Everything is changing. I mean, the human resonance, the magnetic
Mm.
resonance of the Earth, that's been spiking exponentially recently. The
Right. Okay.
magnetic pole reversal is moving faster than ever. So
Mm.
many of these really exciting things don't really get reported much. And I have to say, if I share them on Facebook, I don't get many likes. If I share a cute dog photo, great. But
Yeah.
I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, but
Mm.
there are amazing things happening out there. And I think
Mm.
in some ways, and I think this came through in a message that you did for me when you did me those beautiful art portraits and
Yes. Yes. I
reading
was
for
going to
me
talk about that.
about
Yeah.
looking at space photography. And I don't know if you knew at that time, actually, I followed the James Webb
No, I
um,
didn't know. It's just
site,
something
and I love
I
space
sensed.
photography. I've always been drawn to it. I've been drawn to all the solar activity,
Mm.
and I'm interested also in how a lot of the space photography quite often looks like some of the light manifestations in my garden when I get these big pink shapes with
Mm.
almost like almost like galaxies within them.
Mm.
It's very similar, and I think it's all part of directing our attention beyond our daily lives and our daily tasks to something greater than us, something bigger than us, so that we can realize that this world that we've created in some ways is a bit of an illusion. It's a way to experience things, to
Oh,
progress things, to
definitely.
work through things.
Yes.
And yet we've got a choice now. And I think there's a huge choice coming through with the equinox. Um, and in this window now between full moon and the equinox, I'm sorry, we're recording this on the full moon. Obviously, this is going to come out just after the equinox. But this is a real opportunity for those who want to connect something bigger to connect. You can stay in your old systems if you want. It's completely up to you. But if this is a time that you want to connect, it's never been a better time to connect to what's greater than us and to connect to the love that is all of us. It's amazing times that we're living in.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that message, Lorraine. Um, I know I'm feeling similar to that, that this is a really amazing time of change that's going on in human history. I only know a little bit about astrology, but I've recently completed a zodiac astrology course with
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Walsh, who I had on my podcast right at the start of the year.
Yep.
And, we're moving into this age of Aquarius. And like you say, it's a powerful full moon that's coming up at the moment as well. And I'm really feeling that. I'm feeling that shift. And I know a lot of people who are connected to this kind of world, interested in the supernatural, fairies, um, the paranormal, whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
are feeling that shift to
Yes.
this new paradigm that's gradually happening. Um, and and I think this upsurge in experiences that people are having in different forms, whether they're seeing spirits, whether seeing light beings like you, or experiencing fairies, whatever it is, or UFOs, is to do with this massive time of change we're going with on some level.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think there is so much help available for us in the spirit world, for it be
Mm,
galactic, elemental, angelic. There are so many different realms of beings of love and light who are willing to help us. Um, so you're not short of help if you want to ask for it or if you want to connect. Um, there was one other thing that I wanted to mention actually is that this has been a very recent change. Is
mm.
that the other day I was out in the garden and the light beings wouldn't come out for me, which is unusual because, to be honest, at the moment, I can go out every day and take a light photograph of something amazing, which is a beautiful gift that I'm very grateful for. But they wouldn't come out. And it's like, okay, well, so why don't you want to come out today? And they said, no, you've got to get behind the camera with us. You've got to stand in the light with
Oh,
us.
right.
So they knew that that's not my comfort zone. I mean, this isn't particularly my comfort zone, but I'm um, getting into it, and I enjoyed the first podcast we did. That's the first time I've ever done anything like it. But so I did what they said, and I just had a whole raft of beautiful images of the light playing with me. And there's one where they gave me dangly earrings and two shapes, and you can see a couple where I've got like little fairies like in front of my eyes, and like you see my eyes being distracted because I'm looking at the fairies in front. Or
Wow.
there were times when I saw white moving shapes, but when that came through on the video, they were coloured shapes.
Mhm.
So and then they said, no, we want to teach you about using the frequency of your light language alongside the color. Because yes, I've recorded light language with the song, sorry, with the light, but not actually been in the frame because that's not where I'm comfortable. But so I've experimented and I've got a couple of videos on YouTube now where you can see me experimenting, speaking and singing light language, and you can see how the light reacts to the light song. And this is the very start of the experiment, so I know it's something that's going to grow because when I did relax into it, I could just feel how powerful it was becoming. And I feel they're teaching me about how the frequencies of light and color and sound together are incredibly powerful and how
Oh, yeah.
it's a
Mm.
co-creative effort And I know you sent me a very interesting article about how some scientific experiments about sound vibration. Was it color or voice vibration that you sent me that some Russian scientists have been working on?
It's
I know you sent me an
DNA,
article.
DNA
DNA,
voice.
yeah, DNA
Yeah,
reacting to
yeah,
voice frequencies or light frequencies.
yeah,
But yeah, that's one thing. And the other thing that I've been taught a lot about is I've had these new group of fairies come through called the Dream Weavers. And that's the
yes, yeah.
activation I'm
Hmm.
offering for the Patreon community, which is I had never heard of them. I haven't had anyone speak about them. So this is just purely for me, what I've heard and what they've told me. Um, and I've got a few photographs of them. Generally, I can spot them by usually there's a bit of blue at the tip. Um, some I've got some clearer faces, but there was the main guide who came through for me was the rainbow weaver teacher. They sometimes call themselves dream weavers or rainbow weavers, and they were saying they want to teach me how to weave rainbows and
Mm.
how to weave rainbows as bridges between dimensions, between people, um, between everything that is. It's that big.
Wow,
Um,
so
and
powerful.
I
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the reasons why I've been getting so many rainbows. I mean, if you think about it statistically, it's very unlikely that I would have, I don't know, thousands of rainbows in 18 months in my garden, isn't it? I mean, not even the ones in the sky, I mean, actually in the garden.
Yeah.
So I think that this whole issue of rainbow light and the rainbow fairies is something that's an area that I'm moving forward and need to
Mm.
work with. And around that same time, I started getting what I call waterfall rainbows. You've seen them where you get strands of different colours coming down in the
Yes.
garden. And I've got a couple of short clips, but they're constantly changing. And it is like a waterfall. You feel like you can just walk through it and completely different strands of colour. And they're teaching me about the different healing frequencies, the different colours of
Mm.
weaving them together. And it's just really beautiful. And one of the main messages that they wanted me to bring today, and it's coming through in the activation, is joy. Our world
Yes.
really,
Yeah.
really needs joy. And the
Mm.
fairies have got so much joy that they can
They
channel through
have.
us. And that's what mainly what the activation will be bringing you. There are other light beings who will be coming through as well with diamond rainbow light and other light codes to support you. And the sun wants to come through with light codes as well. But the rainbow weavers want us, want to help us inject more light, more color into our lives, into the world around us, to forge connections with everything around us, and to bring more joy. Because I know that on the one
Yeah.
hand, the spiritual community is feeling, yeah, it's great, things are really happening, things are changing, they're getting better. Whereas another part of the human population is thinking, everything's getting worse, things are getting worse and worse, and what's going to happen? And it's like, that human collective consciousness is so powerful that it's so important for us to hold the light and hold the joy and keep transmitting it and
Yeah.
to balance out all
Hmm.
the negativity that's coming through the news. Um, the light's already won. The light's already won. The shadows are receding, and the more we can shine, the brighter we can shine, the better it's going to be for everybody. That's my view.
Yeah. And it's the choice you're talking about, isn't it? Of which way do you go? Do you go fear
Yeah,
or love? And that's it,
entirely
basically.
up to you.
That's,
Entirely up to you.
yeah. We are, I've, I am human, sorry, I am living, I am creating a human experience. It's a saying that I've put up.
Oh,
See
okay.
it from here. I am creating a human
Yeah.
experience. So I
Yeah.
choose, it's what we
Yes.
choose to focus on. You,
Absolutely.
you've chosen to focus on these beautiful lights in your garden and the messages that are coming through from them. And then the interesting thing for me is how that's then responding and accelerating with
Yeah.
more and more and more. So and that confirms to me really that message of what we focus on, we attract. I think it's,
Absolutely.
you know, and whether it's seeking joy or whether we're looking at depressing news
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
negative side of things, then that
Yeah.
we get more, don't we? So
Yeah.
the fact that you're working with light in that way is so beautiful, and with other beings and other dimensions. How do you plan now to take this forward? Are you going to share it more for other people? Are you going to create? Are you going to write about it or share any
And
courses? Or
well, I find often I record a lot of activations, meditations, and generally I get woken up at 3 in the morning. It's always 3. And they tell me it's because it's when my mind is at the stillest, my brain waves are more receptive, all the dogs are asleep, so I can record without any danger of being interrupted. But generally, and sometimes I do actually have one activation that I recorded in my sleep, and I had no memory of recording, but it was a special one. It was meant to be for a friend who I knew needed it, so I sent it to her. But sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll find that I've written a whole ream of an activation to record. And I think, oh, wow, that's really good. I wonder who wrote that. Then I realize I did it in my sleep. Well, I channeled it. It wasn't me. I'm not taking credit for it. So I think it's about combining the power of these tracks, because I infuse the tracks with magical awakening. My guides come through in them. Often I'm channeling. If I'm speaking in English, I'm channeling. If I'm singing in language or speaking like language, I'm channeling. And, what I really love to do is to create these tracks for people, and I can tailor them for people's particular needs. It's just the same as a remote healing session, because the healing is in the track. It's not, it doesn't go out of date. It doesn't expire. And I actually listen to these myself often, and I get a great deal of help from them. The energy stays in them. Um, I think it's a combination of using the light to attract people, to make them see that there's more, and then let maybe them opening up to hearing the channeling that's coming through from the light beings who are channeling through me in light language, or in English channeling. Channeling's an area that's very much been growing for me in the last year. And as I say, some of the tracks, I can be having a really lousy day and I listen to it and it reminds me. It's like there's one in particular that I listen to, which is just about reminding me who I am. It's like you're saying, we are creator beings. So it's when we start to forget and think that we're powerless and we're victims and what's going on around us is out of our control. It's about remembering that we're divine creator beings, that we have this divine spark within us. So if you think about it, do you think that there is anything that's impossible for God to do or for the divine creator to do? Well, in that case, there's nothing that's impossible for us to create. Nothing. We can create anything. Yes, we've got lots of programming to work through. We may have wounds and soul wounds that need healing and need releasing, but we have creator power. And, this is a direction that I know that other teachers have been speaking about as well. It's the amazing synchronicities at the moment. Like I'll get something and I'll see that some of the teachers that I've been taught by in the past, I get an email and they're getting exactly the same thing. And, last year it was unity consciousness. And at the moment, there seems to be a lot about you are a divine creator being. It's about remembering our power and harnessing it. And it's so easy to forget. We all forget and we all need reminding. And that's why I listen to my tracks myself. One of my magical awakening teacher actually taught me to record tracks, because he said it was a time when I was going through a lot of healing from great physical pain. He said there will be days when you just don't feel up to healing yourself and when you can't meditate. So the days when you are okay, record the healing tracks, infuse them with the energy and listen to them when you're not okay.
oh, that's a
So
great
so
guidance.
that's how I started doing it. And basically it's about reminding ourselves every day so you don't get swept into this human consciousness maelstrom of,
Mm.
nuclear war or this, that, or the other that's going to happen. It's about constantly reminding ourselves of the truth. And there is
Yes.
one thing,
Yeah.
a message that's come through. One of the main guides I started working with are, they call themselves divine, well, I call them love light beings. They're like senior light beings who oversee several universes. So they, not just our universe, and they haven't really got involved with our world deeply until recently. But my main guide is someone, instantly I connected with him. I knew that I knew him, and I knew that he is the guide who meets me in each lifetime that I've passed over. I know he's the one who meets me and takes me. Such a strong feeling of familiarity and love. And he has given me most amazing insights on this area, on this thing about being a creator being. And
Mm.
he's very much
Wow.
these divine light creator beings, they're all about co-creation, mentorship. I always said to them, I said, I would love to be your channel, but I want to be a conscious channel. I want to be in control. I said, fine, absolutely. Always with these things, you've got to, I think, trust your instinct, and any light being who is a light being will respect your free will,
Mm.
and will be of love and light. And yeah, so I just had the most amazing messages. And recently I got the message, which felt quite profound at the time, which is basically saying that, um, okay, what is it? Everything that's shadow is illusion, that love is light and light is truth. So basically, if you're feeling shadow or you're feeling depressed or anxious or afraid, that's part of something that isn't actually the truth. It's part of a construct that we've made for ourselves. And stepping back into the light as a way of staying back into the truth, they're quite light with truth. Light and love are truth for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're all mean the same thing. So anything that is dark is purely an illusion.
Mm.
Um, that's one of the things that they've been teaching me. But they have the most incredible help to give. And if anyone wants to learn how to connect with them, and I hadn't planned to say this, but they want me to now, that often they do this, is that they are happy to help anyone who wants to receive. And I have, in fact, I've written a blog post on, I think it was on Sam Meredith's Rainbow Group once, about instructing how to connect with them if they wanted to.
Oh,
So
brilliant. So,
I can redirect people to that. But
yeah.
they they're they'll also teach you about light healing. They're very much about light engineering. And they'll show you about healing with light strands. And yeah, it's just quite amazing experiences. They're very
Sounds,
powerful.
yeah, sounds incredible. And for people that are watching that might not be aware of some of these terms that we're talking about. So, light language, light
Yeah.
codes, um, light codes. What's the other thing mentioned? Just can you just explain just briefly what light language is and what you mean by light codes, just in case anybody's listening?
Okay.
I wonder what she means
Okay.
by that.
So by light language, I mean, this is my definition, is
Mhm.
that it's the language of the heart, it's the language of your spirit, and it's the language of love. Some people call it love language, some people call it heart language. Um, it has been called speaking in tongues in the past, but I don't think that's quite accurate, because the Bible talks about speaking the tongues of men and angels. But I know that you can speak in the tongues of fairies and galactic beings. And so you've got your own light language, but you can also channel the light language of other spiritual beings and spiritual races as well. So they're incredible. I mean, some of the elemental light languages are incredible. If you've ever heard dragon light language, that's incredible. And the
Oh,
fairy light
that
language is
sounds cool.
beautiful. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So um, basically, you don't need to understand it with your conscious mind. That's not the point. And
Mm.
I've spoken it since I was 16, when I had a South American healer laid hands on me to give me healing for something. I opened my mouth to say thank you, and these other words, this other language started coming out of my mouth. So I've been using it for a long time. But it bypasses my conscious mind completely. It just comes from my heart. It flows from my heart. And interestingly, they have done MRI experiments of people using light language, and the language center of the brain is not activated when people are speaking it. So it's not language as we know it. It is a different kind of connection. And you don't need to know what it means, because your heart, your spirit knows what it means, even though the human you're incarnated as doesn't understand. It will have an effect. And I can't claim to understand light codes completely. There are lots of people who know a lot more about them than me. I just know that we are receiving a lot of downloads, which I call codes, because they are affecting our DNA. They are changing us. They are helping us to remember who we are. They are helping us to reclaim some of our psychic gifts and powers. They're bringing healing. They're getting rid of some of the old programming, old systems, and helping us bring us back to who we truly are, who we were designed to be. That's my understanding of light codes anyway. So,
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've practiced light language. It's just a spontaneous thing for me when I'm in nature sometimes, and I'll connect with a tree. And like you say, it's just completely personal, something that just comes from your heart.
yeah.
And to anyone else, it sounds like you're speaking gibberish.
Yeah.
You, it means something, and the important thing is the resonance of it. I think that has an impact on if you're working with other people. I mean, I don't really work with other people; it's just purely something for me. Um, yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to share? I mean, is there anything that would? Because obviously, this podcast is about fairy whispering, communicating with the other world in different ways, and which you've explained very well how you do that. Is there any sort of message or guidance that you would like to give any of my listeners?
But I often get asked, okay, Lorraine, how do I take these photographs? And they want like a quick answer of, oh, well, I stand on my left foot and I say a chant and I do this. But the long answer is it's about relationship. It's about relationship with nature, relationship with the light beings. It's something that builds up. So I would say, get out into nature, connect with nature, connect with the trees. In summer, I love walking barefoot on the earth, laying my hand on a tree. It's great if you're suffering anxiety. If you can get outside, stand on the ground, put your hand on a tree, and just focus on the tree. It's just amazing how it will bring your heart rate down and ease your anxiety. And so I would say, if this is what you want to do, go out, and also in faith, because sometimes you feel the energy. Because I always used to feel energy before I could see it. And then I ask, well, I'd like to see it as well now, please. Is sometimes I'll feel, okay, there's something over there, take a picture, and there'll be something. So follow your intuition. And don't be worried if you don't get like amazing stuff to begin with. This is about a relationship, it's about practice, it's about growing, it's about being open. And the more open you are to receive, the more open you are to keep these channels open between you and the elemental world, the more the elemental world will communicate with you. That's the message I'd say, Adi.
Thank you. That's a really lovely message for everyone listening. And it's been wonderful to speak to you again and to see your lovely dogs. And
well, I'm just amazed that they've behaved, to be honest. I definitely need to ask for divine help so my dogs can be quiet. So, thank you.
So everyone listening, make sure you listen to the other episode that I recorded with Lorraine, and check out the links for this episode as well to access all of Lorraine's wonderful photos, videos, her downloads, her page on Facebook. So what is your page called on Facebook?
It's called Waking Up to Magic. Waking Up to Magic.
Yeah. And are there any other places that people can find you?
At this moment, no, not really. That's chiefly the place where I will share things. Although obviously I'm active in some communities, but that's where you can contact me. That's
Okay.
where I post most of the photos and videos. Obviously, it's really hard trying to pick what to share sometimes. It's like trying to choose my favourite dog because it's like,
Yeah.
but they're all so beautiful. How do I choose? I mean, one of the problems I find often is with storage because I'm taking so many thousands of photographs. I keep constantly having to delete things on my phone so I can actually take more photos.
Thank you to Lorraine for sharing her experiences with us. Check out Lorraine's links in the description for this episode and the information on the podcast blog where you can see some of Lorraine's light language videos. I thought I'd share some research into DNA reprogramming by the use of the frequencies of words. So this is from a website called Underground Health Reporter, and it says that an innovative Russian team found that even the structuring of DNA alkaline pairs follows a regular grammar and has set rules. It appears that all human languages are simply verbalizations of our DNA. Most outstanding of all, the team discovered that living human DNA can be changed and rearranged with spoken words and phrases. The key to changing DNA with words and phrases is in using the right frequency. Through the application of modulated radio and light frequencies, the Russians were able to influence cellular metabolism and even remedy genetic defects. So I thought that was quite amazing and relates to my chat with Lorraine about changing DNA with light frequency or with light language. And then this is from Julie Ryder's website, Galactic Facets, and she mentions ceremonies conducted by the Navajos which altered DNA. Specific ancient songs of the making were sang by medicine men while people walked in weaving circular patterns around glyphs drawn in the sand in the presence of large activated crystals. And you can read more about that on Julie's website Galactic Facets, and I've put the link to that in the notes for this show. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this episode. Please comment wherever you listen to this episode, or you can email me clairefairywhisperer@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye for now.